This is the Horse Radio Network. This is episode 306 of Horse Tip Daily. A different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you one day at a time. Today's tip is sponsored by Equestrian Collections. Visit them at equestriancollections.com. Enjoy today's tip. Glenn the Geek back with you from Lexington, Kentucky, home of the World Equestrian Games, and you're listening to Horse Tip Daily. Don't forget, follow the World Equestrian Games coverage, horseradionetwork.com. Right now, today, head on over. Today, we have back with us somebody that I find remarkably fascinating. Her name is Shawna Karrasch, and we know her as the Clicker Lady. She's back with us again today. Many years ago, Shawna started a training method called on-target training. You're probably all familiar with clicker training now. It's been around so long. And if you don't have Shawna's book in your library, you should. It's called You Can Train Your Horse to Do Anything, On-Target Training, Clicker Training, and Beyond. Take a look on Amazon. I bet you'll find it on there or on her website as well. Just search for Shawna Horse Trainer on Google, and you'll come up with her website. It's kind of complicated to say, so that's the easiest way to find it. She'll be the top one there. Speaking of training, I hope I have you all trained by now to go to Equestrian Collections when you need something first for your horse, for you, for your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, whoever it is, your kids, your husband. Well, if they need a horse product, then go to equestriancollections.com first. And right now, dressage is going on at the World Equestrian Games. Get the best dressage tack and equipment from Anki, Kiefer, Bates, Vespucci, just goes Wintech, and more and more and more. It goes on and on, the number of products that Equestrian Collections has. Shop in comfort and equip your dressage horse in style at equestriancollections.com. And now we're on with Shawna. Well, hi, Shawna. Welcome back to Horse Tip Daily.
Well, thank you so much. It is great to be here, and it's nice to be talking with you today.
And, you know, I went to your website, and now I'm all distracted because I'm on your blog, and I'm watching the free jumping from Mint's helmet cam. Now, Mint's your horse, I assume. So,
yep.
Yeah, and you put a little helmet cam on Mint, and now he's doing some free jumping, and it's very bouncy.
It is very bouncy. I have had such a kick with that. I mean, I have, you know, you just think of a billion things you can do with it, but it's funny to see it from his perspective, because you see, like, you'll see him looking off, and you're like, what is he even looking at? Or because it, you know, the camera's on his head, it goes with him, or, you know, you see him watching me walk away, or looking at the side bucket, or whatever. It's just, as a behavior person, I get such a kick out of it. I just can't tell you.
Well, it is kind of cool. It's really neat watching this, actually. My head's going up and down, but it's really cool to watch. And you got a makeover. You got short hair now.
I do. I have just had, you know, I do have short hair now, and I really love it. I tell you, my whole world is just so different in some ways and so much the same in others.
Well, we're going to have to change that picture at the top of your website. We need to modernize that.
Okay.
We need to get rid of the 90s haircut and now come with the modern haircut here. All right, so we're not here to actually talk about your haircut or your helmet cam, but although I'm still watching, it's pretty cool. So tell me what we're going to talk about today.
You know, I think today I just wanted to kind of talk about holding still as a behavior. You know, we focus so much on...
Well, I got to tell you, that's not what's happening on the helmet cam right now. We're not holding still.
Sometimes it's funny, this is back to the helmet cam, but Minty, sometimes when he's free jumping like that, because it's just a jump in the middle of arena, no shoot, no, you know, it's up to him. And he figures out his own distance. But sometimes when he lands, he flips his head. You're like, wait. I feel like it's some Blair Witch Project or something.
I love that you have the camera on your helmet, too. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's kind of, we're going to figure out how to put it, like, down in the corner will be, like, his perspective, and up then my perspective. So we have both of them. Anyway.
And you got your big bucket of treats right there attached to your hip.
Because you can see Mitzi looking at it, can't you?
I'm just looking to make sure there's not fish in there. You're not reverting back to the old days, are you?
Exactly, because if I get a squid, I'm out.
Yeah, I don't think Mint's going to go for squid. So, all right, sorry, I interrupted. That's my fault. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just wanted to talk about holding still because it is one of the behaviors that, and I tell you, I am as guilty of this as other people. I have such a tendency to focus on a behavior I'm working on. Like I want him to do something. I want him to do a flying lead change. I want him to do something. And sometimes I see this commonly when I go to clinics and help people. One of the things the horses oftentimes don't have is they don't just know how to stand still. And sometimes it's kind of hard because they're, and this kind of goes back to helping to set them up for success when you're first teaching them how to do something is utilizing, so when you start to teach them or want to teach them about holding still, let them have their energy off first. But I really think it is something that we should really focus on. So what I try to do is, like, I just recently, right now I'm in the midst of working a horse. He's a stud colt, and I'm teaching him to be shown in hand for the hunter breeding, classes. So he's a stud colt. Did I say he's a stud colt? So when
yes, I think you did, actually.
I first went in his stall with him, and he's a yearling. He just totally wanted to engage with me like he would play with another little horse, trying to learn how to be a stud, and how to vie for his place in the herd and vie for the female. And and he's just all over the map, And so I've been really focusing on just teaching him just to stand still. So it's kind of fun because I get up to his stall. He has a big stall. It's like 24 feet long, so he kind of can run back and forth a little bit. And you hear him nickering and being all studied.
That's an arena.
Yeah, it's pretty. And they're actually foaling stalls, but he happens to be in one. And so he's running back and forth. And as soon as I get in, though, he stops. And he just stands with his head turned away and his eye on me. But it's really, and so he's learned to stand still, and I taught him to stay. So it is something that I think is really important. But even for older horses, you see horses showing in the ring, where you're just trying to wait or you're trying to talk to somebody. And horses oftentimes don't know how to just stand still and wait. So I just kind of want to remind people to focus on that and to draw attention to that. And it's not a behavior that you, by and large, can do too much to change, as far as you can't create that. You have to let them. You can create it by setting them up to succeed, getting them outside, giving them playtime. So when you want to work this, that they're more apt to stand still, maybe a little tired, a little quieter. They burned off their extra energy.
And are you using positive reinforcement to encourage the behavior? Is that what you're doing? Is that how you're doing it?
Exactly. I use positive reinforcement. So a lot of times what I do is I just go about, I'm doing regular stuff. Or with this case of this little guy, I actually went in and I had to look for the baby steps. The small steps were, if he holds still for 10 seconds, that was a big thing. It may have even been 5 seconds at first. And then click and reinforce or whatever, or just reinforce, let him know that he's done a good thing. So I would utilize food. I would tell him a good job. And then I build up to 10 seconds and then 20 seconds, then 30 seconds. And then I start walking back and forth a little bit and look for him just to hold still, reinforcing when he holds still. If he doesn't hold still, I kind of continue on just where I am. And then pretty soon I'm swinging my arms up and back and I'm walking all the way around him. And he's just learning what I need to do is to hold still. So basically in my head, it's don't move your feet, but it can be whatever you like. And so it's a really important behavior, and it teaches them a lot of patience, which is ultimately what you need. I need a horse who's patient and waiting and has an eye on me. So I just want to remind people to not be afraid to work that just as a session, just to go stand by your horse. And then likewise, I do this when they're doing other things. So if I'm I'm having them in the cross ties and I'm getting them ready, and I just notice they're standing there patiently, I will a lot of times from across the barn even, I click and come, trotting right up and give them a reinforcement because I'm going to draw attention to that behavior more and more. Because if you have that, you can get everything else. The energy's always in there somewhere, and you can pull that out. But you need them first to stand still and be quiet.
Would that be something? I was just going to ask that. Is that something when you're doing clicker training and the positive reinforcement, training for the first time, or you're just learning it? Is that a good one to start with, actually?
Yeah, and actually it really is. And the first thing I always teach people when they're first, and this kind of goes hand in hand with this, when I'm first teaching a horse about the positive reinforcement training, because I have food on me, they immediately, what do they want to do? They want to come to the bucket.
Right.
They want to get the food.
I was going to say, how do you stop them from doing that?
Yeah, and so I use a side bucket that is small enough that I can cover it with my hand, yet it's a hard side bucket, so I get my hand in and out readily. If I'm fussing with a fanny pack, you can create too much hubbub around it. So I like to just get where I can get in and out, and I can feed them. So, but it's small enough that I can cover it. So when I first go in, they go and they are nosing and nosing and nosing. If they actually push on it too much, I'll shoo them away. And as soon as they turn their head away, I don't care if they're looking out the stall. I don't care if they're looking at something else. I don't care if they're swatting at a fly, whatever it is. If they just get their head away, I click and reinforce. While their head is still away, usually when they're still chewing, I click and reinforce again. And pretty soon, it usually takes about 45 seconds to a minute. They start putting together, you'll see them start turning their head away. And you can see it real clearly in the video. They start turning his head away, and you can see the eye is still on you, but they start learning, hey, that pushing on you doesn't work when I thought it would, but this does. So they're still begging in essence, but they're begging by turning their head away, by being quiet. So those are the things we want to look for. So that's the first thing I do teach them is turn your head away. First things first. Ultimately, I'm going to not have it actually so much away as just straight on, straightforward. But in the beginning, I like to kind of overtrain it, kind of make a point. But that also requires them to stand still, be patient, and so those kind of things go hand in hand. So you definitely, that would be a great thing to work with them right off the bat.
All right, terrific. Well, and of course, people can find out more about you, and they can go back and, of course, listen. If you missed Shawna's other tips, you can go back to our website at horsetipdaily.com and check them out just by searching on the left-hand side of the page there under Shawna Karrasch. And then the other thing is you have a terrific website. It can be found at shawnakarrasch.com, and then you also have a blog on there. You do Facebook. You can find her on Facebook at Ask Shawna, and we have links up to all of those things at horsetipdaily.com. So, or if you just search for her, you're going to find her. She pops right up to the top. You've been doing this so long, you just pop up to the top. So, well, thank you, Shawna. We appreciate you being on.
Thank you so much, Glenn. It's my pleasure, I got to say. Thank you.
Well, don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter. We are at Horse Radio on Twitter, and we are tweeting away about the World of Equestrian Games at this very minute. We also post a reminder when all our shows go up. So that's on Twitter at Horse Radio. We'll be back again tomorrow with another new expert and a different horse tip. Until then, stay safe, everyone.